All right, I'm about to start the show a little bit. I'm gonna play that video before I'm gonna tell that story about a man who's been in the game. This is long after before he was Big Punisher, he was Dirty Chris at the time. You know, around around early '90s, all the way to becoming Big Moon Dog and Big Dog the Punisher. That's all the names that you got to see who he was. So I'm playing this video here, but it's already copyrighted by Loud Records, I think. It was called it's called Deep Cover. Yeah, after I'm done with this video, Big Punisher will be mentioned, Fat Joe will be mentioned, uh, Snoop Dogg will be mentioned, just like the other video that I did with me playing Doggy Dog World and Gin and Juice. So, but Dr. Dre, I might have to get my chances on it. So let's go to this story here about we'll dig into the legacy of Bronx rapper, the late Christopher Big Punisher Rios. Okay, we'll start this in with this here. See, he was already been known for it, so he was better known by his stage name, you know, and the name was like Christopher Lee Rios, who was like, he was better known by his stage name, Big Pun. It was like short for the name Big Punisher, but the name just derived from a comic book hero or comic book villain, like like Frank Castle type of character. Emerging from the underground hip hop scene in the Bronx, he became to prominence upon discovery by a fellow Bronx rapper, Joseph Cartagena, who was also known professionally, or better known by his stage name Fat Joe, alongside Cuban Link, whose real name was Felix Delgado, and Triple Sace, whose real name's not even mentioned, but he's a part of the of this uh of this American hip hop collective it was established in 1998. Happens to be the Terror Squad, and thereafter guest appeared on the album that was out in 1995 is called Jealous One's Envy. So Big Punisher, or Big Pun, that was a little short for it. He signed with Fat Joe's label, was named Terror Squad Productions, and it's like a parent company uh and Loud Records that was already been in the business ever since. They've been around since the early 1990s, by the likes of Stephen Rifkind, Joseph Safina, and Richard Isaacson. Richard Isaacson. So, but in the late 1990s, like 1997 to exact, to release his debut studio album, Capital Punishment, the following year met with the critical acclaim and commercial success. The album earned a nomination for the Best Rap Album at the 41st Annual Grammy Awards, peaked at number 5 on the Billboard 200, and it became the first hip hop recording by a Latino solo act to receive platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America. His second album, Yeah Baby, uh, peaked at number 3. It's number 3. It was on the Billboard 200. Although Pun died 2 months before its release. Let's take you to the early childhood of Mr. Christopher Lee Rios. Mr. Christopher Lee Rios. He was born in the South Bronx in New York City to parents of the Puerto Rican descent. He grew up in the Soundview neighborhood. It was called Soundview neighborhood, and he had at least two sisters and one brother. He was one of the four siblings. Uh, he regularly played basketball and trained in boxing. He moved out of his mother's house. He moved out of the house that was owned by Gail Torrado, who had to be his mother. Uh, it was at the age of 15. Rios was homeless for a period of time in the late 1980s, that was 1987. Later, he received a large settlement from the city stemming from an incident in 1976 where Rios broke his leg while playing in a park. Using his settlement money, Rios married his high school sweetheart, Liza, and the two moved into a house together. They moved into a house together. Rios, he has been struggling with depression stemming from his turbulent childhood, and he just coped with it by overeating between the ages of 18 and 21 years old. Rios's weight has been rocketed from 180 pounds, that's 82 kilograms, to at least 300 pounds, that's 140 kilograms. His rap career, it started just quicker than I expected. Uh, During the late 80s, uh, he began writing rap lyrics. He later formed an underground group called Full Eclipse. It's called Full Eclipse with lyrical assassin, who had to be Felix Delgado, who has his name changed to Cuban Link. Joker Jams and Tomb. And Tomb. Rios had made a number of recordings with the group in the 1990s, which have not been released at this point. Rios was operating under the alias Big Moondog, after changing his stage name to like Big Punisher. It was like Big Dog the Punisher. Rios has met a fellow Puerto Rican and Bronx rapper Joseph Fat Joe Cartagena in 1995, you know, and made his commercial debut album on Fat Joe's second album, Jealous One's Envy. In addition to appearing on the song Watch Out, he also appeared in the Beatnut song of the books with Capital Punishment. In 1997, Big Pun, he began recording songs for his debut album Capital Punishment. In 1997, producer Nobody's production partner Sean C took advantage of his new role as an A&R at Loud Records to play Nobody's tracks to Big Pun. Suitably impressed, the rapper hired Nobody to remix I'm Not a Player. The remixed song featuring singer Joe, featuring singer Joe, and the title Still Not a Player became Big Pun's first major mainstream hit and major breakthrough for a producer named Nobody. Especially I don't know why he had to do that for some reasons. The full-length debut Capital Punishment followed. It followed in 1998, and it became the first solo album. Not the first solo album. It became like the first album that was by a solo Hispanic rapper from the Bronx to go platinum, peaking at number 5 on the Billboard 200. Capital Punishment was also nominated for the Grammy Award for the Best Rap Album. Yep, with Terror Squad, collaboration album and other collaborations. When Big Pun became a member of the Terror Squad, a New York-based group and collective of rappers founded by Fat Joe, with the most roster supplied with a now defunct Full Eclipse, who released their debut album. It's called The Album in 1999. The album did not fare well commercially, but it was well received. It was well received critically, and the album was meant to start the foundation for all other Terror Squad members to release their solo projects. Big Pun also contributed vocals to the song Pina Colada. Pina Colada with the rapper who happened to be Sean Divine Sean Divine Jacobs, who was better known by his stage name Chic Luch from the LOX. That was before it became D Block. Uh, from the compilation album Ride or Die, Volume 1, and appeared as a featured artist on Jennifer Lopez's album. And it wasn't on the album. It was like her debut single called "Feeling So Good" alongside Fat Joe. Uh, we gotta go through some things with his health problems here and his demise here, let alone death. Rios has struggled with the sort of weight issues that he had his entire life as an adult. He weighed about 180 pounds, like 82 kilograms, at the age of 18 when he was a teenager, which have increased to 300 pounds, like 140 kilograms at the age of 21. Uh, his weight fluctuated. It fluctuated in the early 1990s between obese and morbidly obese. Yes, it's between that. It's between the two, like obese and morbidly obese. Shortly after the release of Capital Punishment in April of 1998, that was a month before May, Rios was ordered by a doctor to rest for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks after he showed signs of exhaustion while doing promotional work, Rios enrolled in a weight loss program at a local university college known as Duke University. It was a private research university that was located in Durham, North Carolina. It was in Durham. It was in Durham. It was in the state of North Carolina. It was founded by the Methodists and the Quakers. But in the summer of 1999, at 600 pounds and shed like 100 pounds, like 45 kilograms, uh, that was left out. But Rios had prematurely quit the program, and then within 4 months regained the weight. His weight was a constant topic of argument among him and his friends, to the point that Rios did not like to eat around them. Around the 2 weeks before his death, his widow, Liza Rios, noticed that his body began to deteriorate from the obesity, and that when he just ate, he frequently, vomited. He started throwing up. He started throwing up, retching uncontrollably. And his skin has appeared to be unhealthy. But on I think I think it was going straight to early 2000, which was February the 5th of 2000. February 5th, 2000, when Rios had withdrew from a planned Saturday Night Live performance with Fat Joe and Jennifer Lopez due to illness. 2 days while staying at the Crown Plaza Hotel with his family in White Plains, New York. He suffered a heart attack and respiratory failure, and was rushed to White Plains Hospital, where he died at the age of 28. After the paramedics were unable to revive him, his weight had reached a peak of 698 pounds, like 317 kilograms. That was at the time of his death. Rios has survived by his wife and widow Liza Rios and three of their children, Star, Vanessa, and Christopher Rios Jr. Thousands of fans have showed up in what have amounted to happen to be a block party outside of Ortiz funeral home, and a funeral procession was held for him. Rios was cremated and buried at Woodlawn Cemetery, Woodlawn Heights. What else? Woodlawn. It's a cemetery is named Woodlawn Heights. Located burial ground in our cemetery. It's called Woodlawn Cemetery. It was near Woodland Heights. Woodlawn Heights. It was the Bronx. That's why they had that place called Woodlawn Cemetery. This is where they had to bury him at. So the posthumous works and the legacy that was been left behind by Rios. But his second album, Yeah Baby, completed after his death. It was released in April of 2000. It was released in April of 2000, and it peaked at number 3 on the Billboard charts and earned gold record status within 3 months of its release. start flying through the camera needs to knock it off, bro. A posthumous compilation album, Endangered Species, was released on April of 2001. Yeah, it was released in April of 2001. I gotta find this album here. Yeah, that's what's coming out. Endangered Species. Let me tell you about this thing. Endangered Species has collected some of Pun's greatest hits. It was previously unreleased material with numerous guest appearances and remixed like greater verses as with his other albums. It also peaked in the top ten of the Billboard 200, reaching number 7, but it didn't sell as much as the previous Big Pun albums that had to be saved up. Uh, he collaborated with Fat Joe on the duets, the final chapter. It's right here. The Biggie Smalls album, the Notorious B.I.G. posthumous album, which was like the second one. Uh, an album of the tracks, an album of the tracks there was featuring the Notorious B.I.G. You know what I'm saying? Who was also deceased. Was also deceased. You know what I mean? He been dead since 1997. But the track called "Get Your Grind On," it's called "Get Your Grind On." It's called it was known as the track. It begins with a Big Pun radio interview, a Big Pun radio interview in which that he had said that he would perform a duet with Biggie at the gates of heaven. Uh, Pun was also featured on a track that was from a revived Terror Squad's second album, True Story. On the track is called "Bring 'Em Back" with Big L, who happened to be whose real name was Lamont Coleman. Yeah, the track is started with Lamont Coleman, who was also known as Big L. You know what I'm saying? He was already from New York. Was another deceased rapper. Uh, in addition, Big Pun featured on the tracks called "Toe to Toe" and "Cheat on Her," that was from Cuban Link's debut solo album. Uh, yeah, it came from Cuban Link and his debut studio album that he already did. It was a studio album. It was debuted uh, on June 6, 2000. This is where he released "Flowers for the Dead." That's what he was releasing. That was from his album 24K. It was called Flowers. It was Flowers for the Dead. It was a tribute song to Pun, which was released as the lead single to his album 24K. The official music video was directed by Chris Robinson, who was a film director and commercial director and music video director. And it was taken place and filmed in the Bronx, New York. In the Bronx, New York. Yeah, some rappers already mentioned it. It was called the Bronx. It was the Bronx. It was Bronx, New York. That's where hip hop started in the 70s. Uh, and it's debuted on Rap City. It was on Rap City that was already canceled. But on May 2nd, 2001, the New York City Council, the NYC Council, has stalled the plans to rename a small portion of Rogers Place. They couldn't even do it though. They've been stolen. They had them stolen tactics to be planning to rename a small portion of Rogers Place as like a tribute to due to the distaste over the lyrics Big Pun's lyrics that included profanity and references to violence and drug dealing. But in 2002, a documentary about Big Pun is entitled Big Pun, Still Not a Player was released. I watched that documentary, which revealed that he was homeless. He was homeless as an adolescent and abused as a child. The film included footage of him pistol whipping Liza Rios. They had an image of him doing it though. But in 2004, Triple Seis of the Terror Squad, he released a track that was called Harsh Reality, in which samples Big Pun's You Ain't a Killer, and the credits Pun as a featured artist. But in 2005, Cuban Link, he released Letter to Pun. A Letter to Pun, it was like which was Cuban's second tribute song to Pun. The previous being Flowers from the it was called Flowers. It was called Flowers for the Dead. It was the same song here, Flowers for the Dead. It was from his 24K album. That was like a video that was made for the song, and it was so included in Cuban's Chain Reaction CD, that packaging that's been packaged like it's already called CD packaging. Sace has said that he has a cameo that was in the video. The second posthumous album, it was planned for the release by Sony Music Entertainment, the same motherfuckers that trying to come at me because I played a Cypress Hill uh, song to piss them off. But it was shelved due to a dispute with producer John Jellybean Benitez, who had owned the publishing rights to many of the intended album's tracks. But in June of 2005, Liza Rios put her husband's $100,000 custom Terror Squad medallion up for auction on eBay, citing financial hardship due to receiving no royalties from Pun's album sales. She couldn't receive anything else from the album sales that was came from Big Punisher. She was about to put that medallion that cost like it was a custom made Terror Squad medallion that she had to go put up for auction on eBay. That's like citing financial hardship due to receiving no type of royalties that was from Pun's album sales periodically. But on March the 22nd, 2021, on the intersection of East Fordham Road and Grand Concourse, in his native Bronx named it was called the Big Pun Plaza, that was in Pun's honor. A ceremony featuring it was including family and friends and local politicians had preceded the street naming. But in 2022, Cuban Link released a Letter to Pun Part 2. It was three sides to a story. The long-awaited sequel to Letter to Pun Part 1. The single was so eventually followed by an official video. It was followed by an official video in 2025. That was like last year. The discography that came from Big Punisher here. These are songs I used to listen to. It was Capital Punishment, uh, Yeah Baby, the collaboration album that I never get a chance to listen to was called Terror Squad. It's called Terror Squad, the album. It featured Pun in it, and Pun made the connection. Punisher, rest in peace, he made the connection. It was with Terror Squad. And the album here, it was so posthumous, it was released. It was called Endangered Species. Endangered Species, it was like it has all sorts of tracks that was never been before released, and has guest appearances and some greatest hits that was already by Pun. But it was already been released in April the 3rd of 2001 by Loud Records following his death in February of 2000. But that album had been reaching a peak chart position, a chart position at number seven. So the film work, he was already in it. These are his work here. Moesha, Thicker Than Water. Yes, Thicker Than Water. Yes, as Moesha, the TV show here. Thicker Than Water, the film. It was from 1999. Richard Cummings did the work. Uh, Urban Menace, White Boys, Barik was Bond. It was already out in 2000. He mentioned about fuck school and all that bullshit. Pun mentioned that he didn't care about school. So the other stuff here, the other shit that I did not even get a chance to read here. Big Pun, Still Not to Player, the documentary. Big Pun Live, Big Pun Live, and you have all this shit here. He was in a rap sheet. He was a rap sheet, hip hop and the cops, and there's a documentary here. It was called Big Pun. It's called Big Pun: The Legacy. They had another documentary. It was called Big Pun's Legacy, the Lost Files. The Lost Files. It had some stuff that was already out there. That's his stuff. And the Grammy Awards are going to his album Capital Punishment. That was nominated. It was nominated for Grammy Award for the best rap album to date. Yeah, he never left. Yeah, this says this, like you had the reference here. It says morning big pun on the Latino streets. He never left. That was from New York Times. It was done after he passed away on February the 7th of 2000. That's how you do your homework. I got something to play for y'all. I got something to play for y'all. They had a little mega mix. It started with Big Punisher and Fat Joe and Big Punisher. It's a mega mix with Tupac and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Yeah, deep cover. They had a deep cover. You know what I'm saying? Like mega mix. Go find a mega mix. You gotta find a mega mix. I'll find this anyway. It's what Biggie Smalls. I tried everything for my stuff. But this song got Biggie Smalls in it. Yeah, Tupac will be mentioned too, along with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Fat Joe especially. Shit, Notorious B.I.G. All these people gonna be mentioned on this video. Oh fuck, they might copyright this fucking video. Look, they didn't go let the captions in. Let me uh, let me go let me go memorialize the Punisher. Let me go memorialize the Punisher. Right after I'm done with this video, fuck, they gonna copyright this video, and then they'll have to go add the names on there like Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. and Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Big Punisher, and Fat Joe especially. They'll fuck around and then add the names right after I'm done with this video. But it's not this documentary here, but this video and live show is dedicated to one of the rappers that I have a lot of respect for, Christopher Lee Rios, senior, not senior, Christopher Lee Rios, who's also known professionally as Dirty Chris, Big Moon Dog, Big Punisher, and Big Pun. Uh, he was born on November the 10th, 1971, and died on February the 7th, 2000. Rest in peace, Christopher Lee Rios, also known as Big Punisher.